Sky Power Radio and TV Services Studios, West Yorkshire, Leeds, Tensel Mount. Welcome all on board our weekly civic education program coming away from Studios, West Yorkshire, Leeds, Tensel Mount. Today is Saturday, 5th of July, 2025, at 17:05 UK time. Assalamualaikum badingol ngal kontong mobe dauda anibe wato ya kontong doro kolans nal bismillah na program min kasoro jang loku ni yantemben sita civic education program nal badi malo Mustafa jame membe sirin program ko na yantemben Bokki degu continue na your Fiji Sky Power Radio and TV Services Studios, West Yorkshire, Leeds, Tensel Mount, by coaches in Bunty Program, Civic Education Program, and the Accent Arik Mustafa Jamalekal and Fiji Rajabi. Komin dalta ka kenya men lokum ninyan temben sida anka alfa sodom fe min ya lonko ni kana ka den ka kacha kula mi ya lonko abaden din sula ko la Gambia banko kan bide nga alfa ba mi ya lonko nga sodom fe wolon honorable Lamin J Sanity Brikama South la deputy follow be min kala mba tentula fanfanke ma jeyla a wato minta pour kataram fe jang Lamin meten to lambe bismillah la manke signa follow to jang bari follow min ka kumaya ni be public space moli e commandi aka kumala ene dango so follow be min follow ba follow ko baraka thanks for coming e wato minta pour kataram fe jang follow nyango be min kelan se bula ine lamerlal ni jibe dale nyo konton ni wara je inshallah sena dum kacha ko no honorable Lamin je shane ine mbara se bula ni moli nyo konton
Assalamu alaikum, Mustafa. I want to seize this opportunity to extend a special greetings to the viewers and the Sky Power management team over there, and those that are listening and those that are viewing all over the world. I want to salute you with a special greeting, and it is indeed a great pleasure for me to come to this platform and discuss issues, pertinent issues that is confronting our country. It's important anytime you are invited to come as a public servant to come and discuss issues that confront all of us. So it is important. I am very much happy and I'm thrilled to be invited to this platform. Assalamu alaikum mbadin jiberlal and lamerlal mbalbe kontonal tolnal kontola, especially Sky Power management team, Mustafa himself, who is at the center of everything, and in fact he is the controller managing the studio. Special salute to you, Mustafa. Ngal konto ngal tendo ngal jai, more especially the topic to be discussed. These are major issues that is confronting our country. How do we discuss it and strike a balance and make sure we resolve this problem to push the country as we are yearning for the Gambia we want, to avoid such type of things happening in the country. And I wish each and every one of us to have a fruitful discussion. Allah baraka.
Honorable Kumata Bake, butung ndey soro on time de fo fengelan say ndey fanam bula sa bula anin lamor la nin jibera la ñoo kontong ñoo boroje sina dum ko kono ndey ni mbara imoken
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, Honorable Lamin Sane, nka ko barka bake that time sort of kana ka tara program oto mbe lamoyra alfanam be kontonna na panelist ol fanan imantara jambi ibulobe mutaring Aziz Suleiman an alajero mbe be kontonna fanan mbe Mustafa abarka bake all the time making sure that program making sure that program run abarka bake
Abarka Bakende, thank you for coming as usual. And I want to seize this opportunity to apologize because this has been scheduled long overdue, but I was unable to come on board because we were working on the report and it was not done. A document that is not tabled before the plenary, we cannot discuss about it. But thank you for table it. And next week, Thursday, is scheduled for the discussion. That is the debate proper about this particular.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And the entire team really present.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for making it as well. And thank you for giving us time. This is what we need for people to just have understanding of what is going on, the processes, to understand them so that to reduce misinformation and also to give people the right information as well to be able to make decisions on these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndai. Akumata bake. Butung mol min bebe lamaro ning jiberola. Mafalale ko be comment box manyalo la jebake. You can share your thoughts. Your comments will be highly appreciated because nkana kule kacha mia lonko ay mo jamale sula be bake. Nime doubt soro. Honorable is the right man to ask. I think young be more. I think this is all Muslim high across today. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yes, on that note, Honorable Mevin Kela, sa follow nyaming, wolom follow kuti mi alonka beden ding tulola kuomin bekering Gambia, this 30 million oil scandal, aning Jamal involved mbeng alon neko abijele aketale. So kulo mi alonko ku foring olon ku kering olon. Bari dipitel mi alonko atol member manaringala wala atol mim marandala. Allah findings mune funtita je honorable bi mbela fila ni atar nun tol fanam bije ye tol fanam fonye because gambe dingol lafta kalong Mr. Sane.
Yeah, madam, I'm freeze.
Yeah, maybe I incoming call is wrong. Nga defanan line is a very busy line. Yeah, line of freeze and have mobile or use ka, and then I think he just nicked out be fenko aton di lanying bialom bimu ngamra salo lebe keri nyinyo kontongol ninying musuko musalo.
Musuko salo, you're right. Yeah.
So wala keri mbomol fanam be konton be nyu watu tala purka mol konton musuko salo la. Kapoy ko yo happy muskuro saldima alman salsiala alman mabel saljama asal hako bondi jen sunyo balal aha coming nga nyame yomol asuna.
Yes.
Honorable member Kerry, lafta min nyinin kala kula mi alon ko abe Kerry ne ndol be ngalon ne Gambian kol be alon na manke ko nurin design nyin tulo ko mi alon ko abe foka ngabe Kerry mini tol fota je ani Jamal involved iko chika ya samba ya di député la budun sign atol me manaring abunda nyin Mr. Sane ale mum findings leje nyin kulto tulo la ko ani Jamal le tol funti je honorable.
Abarka bake Mustafa, I think new question on yung kumayata bakele. First of all, new inquiry it came through a motion by a honorable member for Lower Salum, Seni Jawara. Muye motion on yung move that is primarily talking about a parliamentary inquiry alleged corruption, bribery, tax evasion, and money laundering involving the sales of 935 614 metric ton of petroleum worth of $30 million by Apochi FZC. So if you look at this last year, August, the entire recess, a parliamentary motion was moved, and this was committed to the FPAC and PEC. FPAC is the Finance and Public Account Committee that is headed by Honorable Alaji S. Dabo, and Standing Committee on Public Enterprise that is headed by my very self. So we endeavor to come out with terms of reference and identify all the stakeholders as witnesses that we believe are involved in this. And in fact, the motion was accompanied by the FIU report that we look at it fana, the institutions that are involved, and the OMCs, oil marketing companies that were created in this country, and Apochi FZC as an international trader. So generally, we went through it, but Apochi itself, the issue of corruption, bribery, tax evasion, and money laundering, as far as Apochi is concerned, Apochi FZC, we were unable to establish that with material evidence because the man himself, Oris Mas, did not even appear. We tried everything humanly possible. We cannot get him to appear because he is currently out of the country and he is in Dubai. And the important thing about it, because one time he was arrested by the police and later released. After releasing by self-bail, he left the country and went back to Dubai. But another main discovery in the whole process, all the activities was done to sell these 36,915 metric ton, 935 metric ton was all sold in this country, domesticated into level, and it was siphoned to Dubai. But neither we understand in the process because we have invited a host of witnesses that appeared before us. So Nilata Jibe witnesses starting with the Financial Intelligence Unit, the Register of Companies, Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, we have Gambia Police Force, we have Gambia Revenue Authority, we have Gambia Petroleum, we have Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, we have Central Bank of the Gambia, we have Public Utility Regulatory Authority, PURA, and we also have Gambia Police Force attached at the FIU, and we have the Gambia Police Force, IGP, Ministry of Petroleum, the permanent secretaries, both former and the current, and the Ministry of Petroleum, former minister. So we also deal with EcoBank, Access Bank, we deal with Gia Oil, Gambia National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, Castle Oil Gambia Limited, General Petroleum Service, Oric Gambia Limited, we have Sona Jawara, shareholder, Ultimate Beg Logistic, Hadidande Chabi, Company Secretary, Apochi Gambia Limited, subsidiary of Apochi FZC and Apochi FZE. So we also have Mr. Nana Korante, Managing Director of Creed Energy, Gambia Limited. We also have Mr. Usman Drame, former shareholder, Creed Energy. These are witnesses that appeared before us. So in the process, as far as we are concerned, we understand serious maladministration, which is a cause for concern by institutions and by some of the government officials. Notably among them was the former IGP, who is the current Minister for Interior. The other one is a former Minister of Energy, who happened to be Honorable Abdul Job, currently the Minister for Tourism. So the Gambia Revenue Authority, Commissioner General and the teams were also invited. We also look at the Central Bank, the Governor was invited and the team. The both EcoBank and Access Bank, whereby they have main account and sub-account and the transaction occur within this. So the oil marketing companies, all that I mentioned, they were also part of the transaction because some of them also came with their complaint. They were denied a ullage from Gambia Petroleum, and Mr. Yoro Jallo, the general manager for Gambia Petroleum, also there were a lot of issues that transpired. So these are some of the things that we, our findings, and we made some recommendations that after adopting, we'll go ahead to do certain things, especially recommendation of what we call a parliamentary censure on 2 of the ministers pertaining to the maladministration that we see, and we further advise the executive and some institution, required institution, to further investigate and establish whether they'll be able to establish corruption, bribery, tax evasion, and money laundering. So these are the things that we really found out in our investigation of 1 year dealing with this oil sucker in the Gambia. Thank you, Mustafa and Ndeye Jobate.
Yeah, Honorable Sane, thank you for running us through. Okay, Mbatra Langata. Ikamwele. Yeah. Alkamwele saying. Yeah. Mbatra Langata locally because Molka complain le what in Dunda Angale Kongro Kafoko Almurunam back, you know, Allah for, you know, either any of the local languages. Thank you. Abarkabake Yabe explain. Ye more run through. But Honorable tell after you cooking explain because ngaje alla report of fananto aliata some maladministration and ngamo iba fokang maladministration wole buko tamandi ya blow amanta anyata tala nyame ninna mandinko is good to really take it that because wole keta bari nintol nga jube nimmol wana gambianol sokta because ninga reporto dunta reporto kono yemel be explain teng fatol mami ko nyintambita maladministration la nyintambita ko tamandi nya bulole man ta anyata tala nyame falma womira tambita wala le na ya jube aleme altole menje even mute ne honorable
ila microphone on mute. Yeah.
Okay, abarka bakende lafta lafta alebe faham bake witness for witnesses a recommendation on lekeji, and that recommendation shows that there is highly serious institutional weaknesses and immunketa. We believe some of them are deliberate. So we come with recommendations that are apt. What recommendation only mean tandi ko maje ko only maladministration loketa, but in the minfana tandi wolonko those recommendations are binding on us. So the executive fana, because there are these are arms of government. Ndola Dogo is to investigate and report to the executive to act on them. Testify.
It's hacking da la katala kana.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Mr. Sane? Honorable. Malo, ila line
katala kule de minialoko.
Ha, mebinkala ila line is pixelated na katala kana. So malo for anu foka mbikeje bake ngela specs leje ila nyins brikama specs ngoleje and then nyande jela clearly ngaje coming for. It looks like adara la korenga was saying marunga try again. I mean, for Kumata Bakele, viewers and listeners, because you can drop your comments here, because left the phone I long, left the prime Marco Fanang. You can minute toll for tending, because you move flat over Jana clearly coming near long wall involved the Ablai, the former IGP Abdullah Sanyang, and in the Ablai job. You move for the jela clearly will involved. But I have interest in Labakele B. Ninga long involved nyadile itara ni sila jamale ni jamale involved to kunying kono abu kumala bakele mbala filale will be fonye because ninkul ikatama nyame ni atara nung ka kiteri ka folati like a kudole yele mandi in such a way mi along ko nta famla no mbala fila will be kwele so coming ila line o ka kenyame yo dobi ila camera aka jiba ke la ka jila fo fonto so ni awulinde do man isa nyadaji good that's the perfect position that's perfect
okay Sam follow la famina left purali ajube the recommendation we have for starting with the register of companies Following the review of the document and testimony provided by the witness revealed that the Ultimate Beg Logistics and Creed Energy, though registered under the Company Act for the purpose of trading in petroleum product, but they were not licensed by the regulatory authority, that's PURA. That's clearly, that is very clear. And how can you register, but they were not licensed by PURA, and you allow them to trade in the country? That is serious negligence.
But Honorable Mbaladrong, just J, that is fraud. That is fraudulent act, not just negligence. That's fraudulent act, because more jamaka for the munatina parliament manta straight to the point. Or
no.
Language matter. You use what language you use as a parliament, because what you are saying now, you come in for fraudulent. It's fraudulent act, not just with management or malpractices.
We have to understand one thing: there are parliamentary procedures. Any report, if you make recommendation, it is incumbent upon you after adoption, you come out with resolutions. Okay. And currently, we have already prepared those resolutions. After the debate, if it is adopted, what resolution will come? To look at science, we call them negligence law. Yeah, you can call it fraudulent activity. But that resolution needs to be implemented by the parliament. If it is by the executive, it is adopted. So these are cases. And we have a team that work on this. The team comprises of members, our technicians, our secretarial, to come out with strategic recommendations. On top of that, let me give you all the one. The other one is that the committee observed that none of the companies above have a physical address. They don't have a physical address in the country. Employees or other administrative structures generally required for a proper functioning or operation of the companies. How can you be in a country, you register, PURA may certify, you don't even have an address where you can be traced? These are cattle state. Yeah. The third one, the committee noted that the principal company name in the inquiry failed to file a return, and the Minister of Justice has not issued any notice regarding this non-compliance. That's the Justice Ministry for now. These are the things that were found. The other one, it was also revealed that Ultimate Beg Logistics have not filed in their annual return for a renewal of business registration. However, the committee received evidence that while Creed Energy filed in 2002 return and 2023 return remained outstanding at the time of the committee inquiry. So these are still issues. Imagine they were taken to court. They don't even pay any return to GRA. Yeah. And the committee also received evidence that the company maintained multiple accounts with Access Bank. These signatories, the signatories to the said account are Mr. Clement, Nana, Korante, and Mr. Usman Trabi. Then the sixth one was there was no evidence of the company keeping proper records and book of account as required by the Company Act 2013. Additionally, none of these companies file the required tax return or make a payment of any tax in accordance with the Income Tax and Value Income and Value Added Tax Act 2012 and other relevant legislation. So, any activity they don't pay, even tax fund. And that is why GRA now, Nufla GRA will have their recommendation in best of judgment.
Yeah, Mustafa, sorry, I know you want to know, but just quickly. Honorable, these things you've said, these things you mentioned now, do you believe that what you people, your investigations uncover amounts to grand corruption? Because that's what people are seeing. The layman, reading it, what we see is corruption. And even management level, if this happened to in my company, it will go straight to fraud, corruption, of course, but it's go directly. So do you believe that this is corruption?
Okay, before Mustafa, one thing coming for the motion is talking about all these corruptions coming for. as per Apochi FZC. But na institutional, na officials, many are involved in that malpractices. If you talk about malpractices, it's vague. It contains all these things. But sir, we are making this recommendation to further commit the executive, to make sure that we put everybody, we put to tax every individual who is involved. And that's our position. So what is important, my issue is like, no, we did our job and we are reporting. We reported already, we are going to debate on this. Whether we'll have people, many along go, they will reject this report or not, based on affiliation. But until we know what we know, is we have a common denominator, that's Gambia. And we must make sure that we sanitize our system to an extent that anybody who is involved is put to tax. Well, I think we put it everything. If you look at all the recommendations, we have up to 14 recommendations, only coming from the register of companies. So if I look at the malpractices that we are talking about, all these things can be found on them. But as of now,
that takes me now, my last before you come. Let Honorable finish.
Okay. So, ni kami budget, science. Well, if you look at it, we have up to 14 of them. With register of companies alone. So, we want to make sure that this is taken seriously. We have more than $2 billion that was traded within the Gambia, and the money was sent to Dubai without even paying tax. So this is a very serious issue. Gambian Oil companies, they are taxed with high amount and they pay.
Yes, we have companies too, yeah.
So this is a serious issue. And in fact, everybody then they double $1. This is not a child's play. And I know the report we generated. It is a concern for the Gambia. But one thing as far as the motion is concerned, is talking about Apochi. But not even found out there were serious maladministration. Those maladministrations found the finding peak volume for itself. So more you understand. So the next stage is, what are we going to do? We are going to file a censorship of motion on the two ministers and the recommendations, suspension of and the further investigation that need to be done should be done to make sure that we establish the fact and we act accordingly. Now, that is what we do. We did it with a good faith. But what we found on the ground.
Yes.
Gambia is a country, is small, but we have people that are very capable. But the current terrain in terms of administration need to be relooked at and redirect strategically.
Thank you. Talking about strategically redirecting these things, and Honorable, you've mentioned Altol Paretale to take people to task too, and this is serious. You people are taking this serious. But the Honorable Mojamaka Foleko, Metaning Commissioner Moilale, Commissioner Katarajele, everything just go and gather dust. Jamaica wole for dal. So more from Dolphin Kafoko, well, this will just be shelved or watered down once it hits the premier, or Dolphin and Kafoko fente bolaje. So mun guarantee le budget pour Gambia nole, Honorable. Mun guarantee ntonga wole soto je. Alto la nyin doku beta o me yalo ko ale fungol be investigate ale kolbe na to the point ko Gambia no le même mira no nyinto alto le wole confirm. So mun guarantee le budget to the Gambian people ko nyin recommendation all. Atitara la parliament ay faje tak.
Okay, and I really like this. But one thing left and I will understand. Ndol we are member of parliament. And Nico parliament, Ndol we have a mandate, a core mandate. Ndola logo follow is to legislate laws. After legislating the laws, is given to executive for implement in every institution, MDAs as far as our country is concerned. 2, we conduct oversight on the executive because we are responsible for the approval of the budget, for it to be implemented to serve the government machinery. So we conduct that, we do that advocacy. So ndol min kumata, I know ko commission jamale lota jam. But executive inability to implement them is becoming a problem. Though they come with a lot of delaying tactics. But min kumata fana, the problem clean so don't problem of being in Bangkok are legislative gaps. tonya loi sifal be mbulja bari isa si yemire ko bari député la fanka nyim fanyi
mbala doron kan amako ya explain na molye legislative gap because more doron molya understand ma to la problem oti munati na call bukata abukake mol ka jenya
ngamin sort of follow Gambia na constitution ko 1997 constitution ay multi-party democracy la sort ninta fundita as presidential candidate struggled in order to win the hearts of the Gambian for me to be the chief executive officer of the country kake alenke president the next stage ngabineke on come for prepare very well kaje ko ngam for prepare for the other electoral cycle starting with the National Assembly ngabineke mba trial la ngamol soto député bondo pour kana agenda nyings wafunye whether the agenda is true I Gambia interest defend or my interest defend but they must support my agenda anu muna fana kanake ninga carte fay ni president winter aka effect soto the subsequent electoral toll because ni president winter doron abanda the trend continue aka nyim bele win no nyola unless when people are very much radical kaje ko nkata min to National Assembly we need people that are very strategic in the sense that they have the credibility and the potential to serve the people, not individualistic component. But it's unfortunate that parliament is polarized to a level that no. Since this is coming from the president, let me accept it. So Nimi Bekake, like new commission bring they fail to implement them, we can even move a censorship motion on the ministers. We can move an impeachment motion for the president. But how can we do that? Because the 1997 constitution or Ninko legislative gap, Bibilolo Nila for certain decision, the threshold is raised up to a certain level. Among a simple majority. Each of these things, if you are talking about impeachment of the president, you need 3/4 of the National Assembly. That is 43 of us. And neither the motion on censorship, you still need 3/4. Even to change the constitution, section 226 sub 2b is saying we need 3/4 of the National Assembly to take the constitutional draft constitution from second reading to the Committee of Supply and the Committee of Consideration. So you need the same threshold. So when you they are ill-conceived in nature, they were promulgated for the Gambian put to make us the slave we are. And in that argument, look at the ministerial appointment. 99.9% of the law support the presidency. President minister support. Minister appoint without any consultation. And that so the absence of job security. So you go to all the security denominations, the IGP, the Inspector General, the IGP, the Chief of Staff, the immigration, you name them, they are all appointed by the president. Then you come to the permanent secretaries, they are appointed in consultation with the Public Service Commission by the president. The state-owned enterprises, the board chairpersons, the MDs, the president appoint all of them. So if you still continue, they must serve their master or they are kicked out. And Tanolo resign. Because near resign to Akajako, you are going to be a destitute because society found sustainable. So no problem with the ministerial confront. Even in the parliament, some of the parliamentarians feel that it's because of the president they are parliamentarian.
Yeah.
No problem with it. So legislative gaps. These are some of the 1997 constitution. It came from Ghana. It was domesticated to our level. It went straight to the referendum. There was no parliament that will look at that constitution. What constitution on you? Yes or no? If you say yes, yeah, which means you support the junta continuation. If you say no, you are against it. So people blindly voted. We voted for yes. There were 52 piecemeal amendments where ill-conceived and obnoxious laws were introduced. Well be enslaved as Gambians. So sometimes for now, Nico Parliament, the primary role to legislate. But the legislative power is in the hands of the executive because they bring the bills. All the bills in Ghana. How many private member bills bring the data? This is my second term as a parliamentarian. Because we have a lot of problems. Unless you for Gambia osa nga Gambia bondi nyim bulu mane kono nga jaya dum bulo kono bulo mi yalonko will have a credible government. Then Isajako, we do all these changes of legislation where the Gambia we want. There was a CRC commission, anata will be one keno. So you know problem on the wala nankafo, we have serious legislative gaps. Implementation becomes a problem because executive kajalako nimbalanda nying commission on belota after committing thousands and millions of dollars. Can you commission on law? Africa implement I Gambia everything be affect. But say muna kanake ikajala nimbalande bulu. They cannot do anything because still it all ko instead of it master they are our masters. So you know problem in there is very unfortunate. Sometimes
yeah, we understand all problem or the predicament, but yalo tol fananka fole ko ning executive form function ntol kai njiko be katarato lekan because ngafoko ning executive ye nakar ning executive ye oppress na bori dulamu altol leto de leji isaje ko altol lenyantan tol makola parliament lenyantan tol makola pari back to yeku kuma killing for jam private member bill Molma understand honorable munatina albuka private member bill samba even Alfonso Yalongo, okay, Nina Samba majority, maybe it's not going to be popular, but to test it, how come Mobuka Keno? Is it Munaka stop, for example, things like changing some of the laws in the constitution, Mayalongo is hindering about all hinderkan, abe molbela Gambia fan dingol hinderkan, abe Gambia dingol oppress kan, Munana wo Mukaje, parliamentary or private member built on that, even though Hanata Taman pass, but follow honorable ya kele de ya Tesla amanta.
Yo, ndai, abarka bake, I think ila nyinyi nkaro kumada bake. One thing left I understand, parliament is about number. Parliament mange ko ndemo sana kunda we decide. Okay, private member bill jelle nada force. Honorable Suleiman Sao came with a private member bill on Public Order Act. It was unanimously rejected because the president has 18 members in the parliament. Munye Sitsoro. I mean, nominate Wolfana Latakane. He formed alliance with other parties. For example, NRP, APRC, and so independents. Man of fair understand. So near private member below Sambanang, it all they will use a political lens kajube. But
I think calls nata.
Well, we have a problem. But private member bill Honorable Sanyang came with a private member bill, it was kicked out. So the trend in which they are kicking out, myself, I have an interest to come out with a private member bill. But I'm looking at it, they will look at me at the opposing end. So sometimes
I think, is it network?
Yeah, this time around, it looks like the internet connection.
Yes, we're having connection as usual. How it is Gambia Benjamin connection o kake problem multi. But men try kampur ka jube honorable Sanyang atelemonu atemu co-chair in committee me oil report on ati so mba try kane pour ka jube ay nyin kol bondi nyamo kono molla because molla diamo wato wati mba foka ne parliament bukatara ko kela so abe wole try kan ka explain to so nga understand nga faham mune mu problem to parliament foy buka nyin kol beke honorable nata ko teke okay honorable
okay na ngamin tandila wolonko ya follow for ndola doko bu luwada dalde but any private member bills nata they gang up because bring you remember 2016 bring betola ka President Barrow wa Mulma at the formula diamoka based within the Public Order Act.
Yes.
So if you are outside the government, Public Order Act is nonsense. Whenever sitting on the steering wheel, I totally support. Kawabondi B is like you are giving a cutlass to go to forest, can be clear. So you no problem with it. If you come with a private member bill, you are reject. Public Order Act Section 5, Section 25. Well, they have to go. But it's like a futile effort. So sometimes I can't discourage them because it's certain delay. So at the end of the day, they just kick it out. Like what happened to the 2020 draft constitution? It was dropped, it was sent to the God for God. So Ninom Izuti, Amanke ko Tonya Mbagala Fala, But in a way, number matter very well.
Honorable
Matter even you are point of
number matata, but history fana matatale, consistence matatale, and also getting to do things, handling like the public order act, because people know okay, nyinketa jele amantaraje nyiliafai. So it's in the memory of people ko nyineketa. But then nang fe mantal caring, mo kaje ko parliament mantarala do ko kela because nyi lual membe entol bulo be city. Ayim bele bulo city. Whether tebe diaspora jambe city Norway jam, whether dobe city Gambia jam itebe Gambia, ayim bele city. So molka menje dron wole woti ko so ndinga mera ko nyimanya na discourage la to try again because history will record it because okay, parliament they did A, B, C and Z. Baramanta and jama who are the voters? Who are the people who vote against? Because now I remember some of these bills when I near vote out. Molka Nasile to bring all the parliamentarians maybe along to vote out to make sure people recognize that we vote out. So these are things that we also does continue but I told Fanankata to test because you test the system, you test some of these things. Majority. Sometimes you never know. Sometimes obviously it's very obvious. I understand the frustration. You get it, but that is why you people are there. Not to demotivate them.
No, you are right there. To be very much honest with you, you are right. And no because manga ko in this corrector, we are still trying. Private member bill don't especially one, the extension of the budget for Ngonyeng. That was a private and that's a constitutional provision. Honorable Mbona and we unanimously vote for it so that we can have enough time to scrutinize the budget before passing it. We'll pass it through. And up till today, there are private member bills. Every year, recess in August, we have what we call a special, as party level, we have our caucus where we look at it. What type of private member bill la famin sambarana? So every year, so we work on them. Private member bill le nana. But mim drong. Amanga ko mega discourage I ka fell especially ya sayang brought it ya reject someone ankote yagel but min keta drong laftanga understand ko ndol we keep trying and already wala nan na voting live ka pare mo be akalamda this is our position be ngina keka to make sure that mol ya jembe min keka nya that history is very important momo nyinga history will judge you tomorrow. And that is why we have to be very much conscious. Pari, tonya. We are in a very difficult situation. Situation on bele affect. Ikafu nyamin. Madala example odila. Currently, the election bill is before the parliament. And an election bill, manke private member bill, manke committee bill. That's an executive bill. The Ministry of Justice, MOJLE wo draft in consultation with the IEC and the executive. It was sent to the executive. They sat over that particular bill. They look at every provision. They are comfortable. They are somewhere for a gazette publication. And it was brought to the parliament. After 4 second reading, it was committed to a portfolio committee. Committee FANA independently identified the stakeholders that took them through, including the government, including the Minister of Justice, including the IEC, to look at the provisions. But beyond the committee of consideration, they voted it out, section 14. That is stopping you to partake in the parliamentary election of your country because you are sitting outside. I told them, in fact, if you look at my debate, it was crystal clear. I told them, why are we attracting unnecessary insult on us? Because we have an image. Because government may satisfied with that provisions. Let's allow it to pass. Government, they will create a constituency for you to vote and be represented in the parliament.
Yeah.
But it was rejected by the parliament. Many a time, we don't understand. We are used as a scapegoat when executive follow a decision on the world. Like the 2020 draft, the executive reject. But they use few debating points to give it to their people to go and use it and throw it out because of retroactivity.
Muka parliamentarian sol fananje bake ay nka few jele but muka parliamentary je ko they also come with their statement ka foko excelling voting keta against group women to come out and say, well, this is what happened. Because yalong information amatatale. Ntola mol need to hear these things. Inyanta jelale. Wala nang kanyin civic education program kanal invite to explain things. Confusion obe dauda nga seneyandi. Confusion ote dameng nga fenke nga landije. Fabeda nga mol hold accountable because sa banko betaka nyameng honorable. The position is very clear. Baro has to go. That is my position. But generally, just for more information or put more understand ko, Parliament la handicap mo muneti. Parliament natin na nying code because honey near language of jube element present. Of course, nga explain. I understand why you were using that language, but near report bondi reporto be abe faring fraud, corruption, fraud, theft. You read the report. So I knew what report that had it be the mal administration or all these things. More see the corporate parliament from what are they thinking? You know, so these things that go purka clarify and then of course to keep on because motivational failure motivational keep higher to go on challenging things, testing. Or we get the right government because it looks like everything has to be overhauled. Parliament needs to be overhauled. Government needs to be overhauled.
You are right.
Obey need to overhaul.
One thing you are very right. Parliament don't own the Gambia. The executive don't own the Gambia. The judiciary don't own the Gambia. It's perchance we became representative. Among them, Ndole Hakilo Warta Molbeti, Ndole understanding sort of Molbeti, but it's perchance not a training institution to serve the Gambia. But the General Assembly is bigger than these institutions. Gambia belongs to all of us. It can be important if there is an information gap, people will speculate. And it's important. But time for an invite to this type of forum will give. And then normally, Power will invite me to member caring, and anytime I invited. In fact, if in West Coast sometimes, especially when the late Alaji was there, they were doing a lot of things. We do a lot of things together. But it's important for putting a clarification again. Okay, report on what is maladministration? Maladministration is wide. And when it has a connotation to all these things. If these are anomalies that were undone, whether they were done deliberately or mistakenly, but it's not accepted. We recommend, and in fact, if you read the report, this report is apt. It contains recommendations that are very strategic. So, for people to read and diagnose it, you'll be able to make a reflection of your own.
I wrote a follow-up on that as well. I did put my reflection and I wrote it on my wall as well.
Okay, and these are very important. But to be very much honest with you, Nimbango belongs to everybody. We have a common denominator. Nobody will come from outside to develop Gambia for us. We have to take the bull by the horn. And that is why the revolution must be accomplished. It's important, and to be very much honest with you, diaspora is a critical enabler to the revolutionary aspect of this country. Atul Bedami, you know what obtained here and what obtained here. Through all those hurdles, but let's provide a fair, plain, level ground for everybody to exhibit your skills. You get what you want. But the Equal is one-sided. And because what happened, we have a clique that are in control. Parliament to a certain level, we are constrained. We can make an overarching decision depending on if we are the number. But every little thing, there was a caucus. They invite the Solicitor General to inquire from some of these things with him. That even delay our proceedings. So some of the things that yes, every grouping we have our own caucuses. But let's put Gambia first. But that becoming a problem. Parliamentary as modern rivals. But when you come to certain things, the Muslims agree. Gambia Mumebe, the last hope is Parliament. But to be very much honest, we are not living up to expectation.
Yeah,
because the right
give up the parliament because I always say that the executive is functioning, parliament is my last hope, but I gave up because there is no hope anymore.
You are right.
The only hope
You are
we
right.
have
You are right.
is to fight with our vote to remove this government. But Mustafa, maybe you do that because
I know, I can see it, but it's nonetheless modo fong nyinin karo ke jam bori bojang mi alon ko ndey ngamra wo nyinin kale already. Bari honorable Kukilin kumata nyako jang. Ne jama balle fo ali jama balle fo fanang. Wolong yalong ndekala fi koku nimba fola. Ni ba fola ya fo pour gunjurun ko ya understand. Ni ba fola ya fo ko ya understand. Ni ba fola ya fo modol ko nyako barsay gunjur nyinga dem mulo say mo be ka fay gunjur lon barsay mba fola kudang. Ni ba fola pour kudang ko ya understand because nyin ko mata ko kono bakele ne jamba fo ka wonyama. It's because layman momi alon ko kanaki bongoke. Député la ma dobije ita fanga ya londe e dobije sa fo ko nga sangolo so alta député commande nga kullelo so alta député invite pari comme man député la role la wala ne ko okay to le amere député nyanda tarle ite bije la ite anaka kenyama wonde okay parce que ni na la nyim fannal fanam don lafta pour nga pour ko simplify ndi mole mol fo mol le bije min ya lonko ito fota nyino kono be executive place olto killing lafta ye tol fonye pour ka simplify lon ni ko Lamin Jesane brikal député ko la kan na ko sunya bara kan na ko sunya nyaade le ko ani molle be do ko la mol min ya lonko e bota gana le o droit le ni ba kala e ka kinin standard chartered la bank le la wala bank le ka ko do bonne na banko kay ka samba comme ko be senia tol nim bank min ni be involved ko ko ngalong involved nyaade le because e kanyin avenue sifal min ni create lafta ka wolon pour mo ko ndangol sol sukila nyaade le because ninka wol expose o bata ni la dunia mo la ko hanni tata e waflo ko nyinna nata jan nyulla na ko do sunya ka sunya ten pour ka simplify ninye okay jamal lo multi min be nying executive position min ya lon ko e dabula da nying e ko malpractices wala dol sa fu corruption sa fu jenko nin tilimbalia jamal lo muyti ni to fo killing flanyango e ka ke no nya dile inin jamal le be nying wol kono do foyni narolom foyni mo foyni jamalo lafte ma ko nyula simplify honorable
okay abela da bake Mustafa ni ngaro kuma da bake nding nde mongole ma folo sa min kuma da drom yalon tulo min nata jang ngani mi fo nyin 36,965 metric ton worth of 30 million it was brought mi ya samana je ka fa approach FZC but womu international trader leti Gambia luwal kono international trader bigger trade here bari tolle ka fuelol sambana bari nga sambanang ya sambanang Gam Petroleum general manager space dile ka me yulech pour ika fuelo nyin store dami yo fuelol be domp fenke Gam Petroleum le aning masira nyol fana ya GPS todo tata kewol today para kita je inata buneke inata another oil marketing company ning use ikafo doy Ultimate Beach Logistic Gambia Limited we register janne we also have Creed Energy Gambia Limited often register janne as an OMC you have Apochi Gambia Limited and Apochi FZE. So muna kataje wol biri bita kanje follow la shareholding is only 100,000 and you are bucket. And you're talking about a petroleum worth of 30 million. La shareholding ol jibeba. Nyunu kono. Biri kataje itol la jang itol fon. Itole mun business like with the oil. Woman jejinoji. But what we muna ke account ole yele with Eco Bank and the Access Bank. They have me main account. Video main account on yele, they have what we call the Apochi Tulo Mia Samananje Cafe Orismas. Orismas stably. Walening wala approach FZC la gayoti miya samana. So another murufana ye sub account open both Eco Bank and Access Bank, and the overall controller of that account is this Orismas. So petroleum nyimfana burana take sanyinga minge follow. Nyimko was flagged by what FIU, Financial Intelligence Unit. Buri walia flag, they asked the police to investigate. They asked the central bank to investigate. Buri investigation was mounted by the police. Buri investigate. No witness will be invited the Gambia police force with the current IG. So there's this one Palu Jawara, Ming Apiata, but I two testimony like a follow. Ako investigation it got halted. Yeah, stop. Jamala koya halt. Ako it came from the command. Command by Muntole above. Bring a push above is the IGP.
Palu Jawara Katolvo iba fulala ko IGP mimbi
the IGP at the time was Ablai Sanya, the Honorable Ablai Sanya, currently the Minister for the Interior. Ya fahamle. So Berenga so afengada abana regime until they appear. So narata fuelo nyimfana bedo ni apochi GNPC Ja Oil and Oric Wolfang Kaminta the Gam Petroleum General Manager Yoro Jallo le inform about Apochila new oil Puria Sang. But Mimfana Geta Ja Oil for that they want to bring in oil a man chance dealer. So another minjube there is what we call a purported policy to put an embargo on the importation until Jalanya passed down. War was written by the Abdou Job. Abdou Job is the current Minister for Tourism, but then he was the Minister for Energy. And in the process for another this man Orismas arrest, it told Telefona Kolke Foyabula. He went out of the country. Katandela ko ning Orismas mu international trader la mata manke national trader. So which means manya na mutala. But police ya muta minna for ya bulaka self-bail diala to leave the country. Mfana na jate fana lolbe nko nyune for maladministration lolo. Wala na ate he is highly quoted. And wala tina these two ministers we recommend for a censorship. Ke sense of us ministers. Nina report on you adopter. So when you come to Yoro Jallo, we need serious investigation at the dealing farm. Pour kate moment suspend follow to investigate continuously kajako at the dealing no like munel bekaje because kujamale be kono. So we also look at it for now, the Central Bank of the Gambia. Because you cannot beka dunyi account the akabanko fana bula Central Bank fana then we need to do something. Wala nanga jube ko Central Bank nila governor be fana they also air kono nyi ndunda no jadi la kafundi ja nyadi le. So wala tina nina na jube ni recommendation oli etolma bakele. And fana we also have former permanent secretaries moni alonko wolfana biye but wolfana ila testimony dile. But generally, the administration around those ministries, we did a very important recommendation. And Palu Jawara, Palu Jawara, there are a lot of recommendations about him to be suspended. Fana, Kajiko Kalakuo Fanani investigate whether Ala Doko for terminate level, for the terminate, but he has to be suspended. Palu Jawara. So, other issues for Nabije, Munalongo abedending Hadidanden Jaila, Munalongo Atilom consulted for the company, Apochi Gambia Limited. So Atilom Fanamo company lawyer in Fanati. Wolfana, there are strategic recommendations. If you go to report, it will be again. So we have a lot of issues for Munalongo Abe Hapun Kang. Climate Munalongo Wolmanga in Gambia, but it only Imagine we have created energy by climate nana quarantine. Eco Bank Management, Gam Petroleum, Mr. Yoro Jallo. They are all people Minalonko Ibela Isul Sodojele, and these are at the strategic position of the economy of the country. So Walatina Nunpol Funda, but notably these two ministers are very critical when a previous person involvement, and Mr. Yoro Jallo with or the Oribas fund, Mr. Oribas Stably fund, more fund condemned not to, in fact, everything be banned, me alonko, Wellen Tulo Samana in Banco Kanya. So there are a lot of recommendations, a lot of the register of companies, for now there are a lot of recommendations, many alonko Nyante Jubel. So if you come to down, the tail end of the report, you will see Inspector General of Police cautionary statements. I want to look at some of the general recommendations we make.
Don't forget to mention the names, please, Honorable. That means
go names already la thing. Okay, now we have draft resolutions. They are important. So the committee resolved in the following: on the register of companies, that accompany an enforcement unit be immediately established within the office of the register of companies. Is very important. These are gaps. 2, annual filing of return be enforced rigorously with penalties for defaulters. More defaulter. So these are some of the things I recommend. That physical verification of business premises by mandatory within 30 days of the registration. In a physical registration will be another register of company telling that an interagency compliance task force comprising the register of companies, FIU, GRA, PURA to be established. So these are some of the resolutions that we make. 2, on the financial intelligence unit, that the executive to establish an interagency committee to issue quarterly update on the suspicious financial activities. Quarterly update. 2, that the Attorney General initiate a criminal investigation on Mr. Orismas and related parties for a potential money laundering and financial crimes. Orismas is the sole owner of the Apache FZC. 3, the National Assembly urged the government to fast-track the enactment of the Whistleblower Protection Act. Then 3, we have Minister of Petroleum. The National Assembly initiated a censure proceeding against the former Minister of Petroleum, Ablai Job, who may be committed a misconduct in the office in his role in the purported policy Ministry of Petroleum, as referenced in the letter dated 31st October 2023, and interference into the police investigation. Ablai Job. That all purported petroleum policies be reviewed by the cabinet, formalized and gazetted henceforth before implementations. So these are the recommendations for the Ministry of Petroleum. Then on these are resolutions. On the Gambia Police Force, the National Assembly investigated the proceeding to censure the Minister for former Interior, Honorable Ablai Sanyang, former Inspector General of the Police, for his alleged role in the premature halting the police investigation in the report of the Financial Intelligence Unit, and or failing to keep proper command authority in handling of the investigation. That the Attorney General and Minister for Justice constitute a special panel to further investigate the conduct of the officer commanding Mr. Pa'aliu Jawara in his investigation into the report of the Financial Intelligence Unit and report to the National Assembly within 90 days. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice constitute a special panel independent to investigate the proceeding adopted by the police in line with the investigation of STR report against Orismas and the report of the report back to the National Assembly within 90 days. So this are for them. When you come to Gambia Revenue, Authority, that the Gambia Revenue Authority intensify and comply monitoring and institute a quarterly check on all the companies, that the GRA take immediate step to recover an outstanding tax obligation totaling to 20,873,639 from Creed Energy and Ultimate Bank Logistics. Gam Petroleum, that the general manager of Gam Petroleum be immediately suspended, pending on the criminal investigations. So whenever you have a host of them, then you come to the central bank, that the central bank and Eco Bank be sanctioned for breaches of prudential risk guidelines. Central Bank, Access Bank and Eco Bank be sanctioned for a breaches of prudential risk guidelines. So that the CBG conduct a special audit on foreign currency transaction and sub-account managed by the third party, that's Orismas. That the monetary policy committee strengthen control over the forensic exchange exposure. On the public utility or the Pura intensify enforcement. So you name them, legal practitioners, Wolfana Bijele. On the legal practitioner, that the General Legal Council should develop a mandatory compliance protocol for lawyers involved in the company formation, particularly in the high-risk sectors. That the conduct of Ms. Sohna Jawara, Ms. Haddan Jabi, be referred to a professional misconduct review. So, you have a lot of resolutions.
But I love to make Yamako into John, what I go. Okay, saying atol recommendations, many along Alieke. Ning kumam boje dung aliamara fembe bola jele ni atarno anyanta bola ja nyanta kala minute ning kumam boje alsa mineke no pourquoi boje.
Okay, new report or adopter. Then we have motions on censorship that we need to prepare for the two ministers. And then you know baby. So Sani, within 90 days, executive should report to the National Assembly about the implementation of this. Now, manke, one will start with the executive is headed by the president. The motion on impeachment, Fabekela Fatakela, but we'll attempt to see whether it's going to happen or not. This is what is important. We'll try.
Good.
But we have to see
about the president, I mean, not acting. Mustafa, sorry them.
Yeah.
Talking about honorable, talking about president not acting. Ninga Nyinkeso Jube is high profile from central bank. Yeah, listen, I mean, GRA, Pura, commercial banks, even lawyers.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is not a coordinated. Do you believe that is a coordinated cartel, almost like a cartel working? Because if nothing happens, president does nothing, because these are people who are under his beak and call as well, under his responsibility, because you're talking about ministers as well. You're talking about a former IGP who is now the Minister of Interior. So these are people under his beak and call, but
under his purview.
A coordinated effort, almost like a cartel thing, because it looks scary. To undermine
yeah. In fact, what this does, it exposes our weak institutions, and it has. You are right. It looks like it's well coordinated, but the extent to which our people are also involved matters. So that is why, in fact, for us to be very much sure, the government don't have a say. They must act. If this is passed, they must act independently and make sure that all the conflicted people are put to tax. And that will give us a hope that we have a government, we have a country that is very serious in combating with this type of issues, as mentioned in the motion.
And also, quickly, Mustafa, because this case is really, it's crazy. People really are. You know, how come for Parliament is going to also look into that? That how come ministers can be allowed to bypass cabinet approval, police investigations halt prematurely with no immediate disciplinary action? Is Parliament going to
Sorry, aka kundule de.
Yeah, ila telephone incoming call le Canada la kebala.
Sai kamoile.
I think you've got an incoming call.
He's frozen. Yeah, because it's like this is a whole cartel. And all the time, Gambia no fana ya jeleko commission from commission. Now at the Pogoka confirm.
More batata commission.
Yes, at the Pogoka they have, it's like they're handicapped in parliament because of a lack of majority, but also obviously the lack of also motivation and to move things very fast. Honorable Natalie Koteke. No, I think honorable is honorable for nyanta kelo internet ko la Gambia because at least most nyanta internet also to la fana. Honorable Natalie Koteke moile. Honorable kelo lesiata imanke kilinti. Honorable ndeka memfo for parliament ba also look at the slip menketa, like ministers can bypass cabinet approval. Fapareta, you have police investigation held prematurely with no immediate disciplinary action. Is that something that also, because this is really scary and serious?
Yes, the issue we can recommend. Ninga recommend is left with the executive to implement. The other thing can censorship law or impeachment. But what impeachment for now, this is where we are constrained. We need the number. So that number is like a problem with it. So sometimes for now, to a certain level, we are also constrained.
Yeah. Men honorable, is that explain censorship more ordinary people Allah censorship ka Kenya dile. Ni ko sensitive. El telephone ngamra call sol duntana. Internet data. Laftan honorable I explain more how we can censorship because I kufula le fojang censorship or impeachment, and impeachment ngalombe or lonne like a file motion no file to remove the president AG because I luale fenke naka abuse the laws I luale anin I kafanya de man Mustafa anin luale Manta, yes. So these are the things that like
sorry the network
no understand sorry also it back and forth because Gambia wodoko besiarine. Honorable censorship laftaya explain na mole viewers say alka wo Kenya ni parliament ko okay na censorship recommend ni akata nyadile. Just ordinary people ought to get it.
Okay. New report on yung adopter. What we do, Simon will come with a motion on censorship. The motion for now is going to be tabled in the parliament to censor minister X, Y, and Z. So new strategy, but problem of now we need 3/4 of our members for it to be approved. Not approved. Which means that minister and investigate for 5 months minister bondeha.
Okay.
It's just like impeachment, like president impeach.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I understand because censorship will minister remove or removing somebody from more body.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mustafa, back to you. Thank
you. Yes, can you hear me? Ningin beketa kuma bondije.
Yes, gewe.
Nal tata purale bululindoke. Bululindo dung atol man number sotoro. Ning kuma bulande woto fana. Mune sekeno wokola mine sekeno because lafa janye back to ordinary people yalonko atol manke multimine yalon atol nyanda blame la. Atol nyanda minke lele for bari alkana foko bedanna janne. You have to test it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Mole alonko la Honorable Lamin Jesane atele nyinko kejang will be in the record book for life. Coming, yeah, follow the case up. But the malum for fana, ikatul fana silandele banko. Ni bulata nyinko no kan imanta tamo sotola. Ni bulata nyinko kan e kuno kan e mandala tarala nyin committee to ni bulata nyin kuno kan because nga député je la minni nata je ka foko ha ni bulata nyin kuno kan do bije bi kala tamo ni la kul so no ni data clerk la office bi molbe abe ka fole de pour nga fo min ka fo bandala ko la fo yetende ñinu be mu kulde mi ala ka fo so malam fo katina tul fana buka haani silo mi alon ko e wolo nyindi ko kabula ko no kan fo ka ko nyin dandulaje malam mine be ko kono honorable
Mustafa, yalon what is happening? Ni ngani censorship beke afemanta true. What we can do, the government will inform you. Have a radio program. Carry long. It's all over because thanks National Assembly is live streaming. Nimpoke na mobe kalon Jamale is in for the motion. Who is against the motion?
Yes.
Then you dalilo letandi. And that's where we can end. And saying katandi la sa tula Gambian level. Muna na nyimba kela. Yajele. The Gambians own the Gambia. So ni isul kana muni alongo, they are not in conformity with the law. It can't deny. So what the Gambian lebulu ndol ben keko down kela. And secondly, coming to parliament, traveling is not a priority, fam. And na parliament is to serve the Gambian on our legislative mandate and oversight with representative mandate. Wala muna do holdi. So travel ni wana na enter. Why should you lobby traveling?
Yang kami info.
Ngalo ne tonyalo model kemino wanyama.
Yes. Model kami info. Wala nyinti ko député ni aje ko ibuka nyinke katu ko ni député kanjake ay kanjake ata tamo sotola ata nyin sotola ata tarala nyin committee do ata tarala nyin do wala tina pour mol fana ye ko push to stand out ibuka okay.
No matter how kuba kilim foe. Once men at a parliament. Election of Botala yen kaleni doro. You all send in your curriculum vitae, Nashivi. The office of the clerk will look at it. Then they propose a more divide into committees. And no committee group or not, be it international delegation committees, it is sent to the plenary for adoption. Not adopter is binding on the parliament. Parliament man the office of the clerk cannot even touch that. So in trouble natafana may affect or you must go by force because sometimes you are dealing with a committee. You are a chairperson or you are like this. Or some of them be coming by international parliamentary delegation. So it's mandatory. Parliament, I don't think is really done. Model for yes, naturally model they like boot leaking to be favored. But you do everything humanly possible. Kajoko, you have a mandate to serve the Gambian people, which is mandatory on you. So wala kumayata kamodo satisfy. Because you are an elected people. Parliament, the office of the clerk does the service. The service are appointed. But each and every one of us are voted in by the overwhelming majority from our respective constituencies. So you have a bigger mandate than them. Not until we are contractual after the end of the term, we have to go back to the people or you leave. Somebody else come in. But that does not mean that they will put like a full length of the time. So what we can also do, we go to the radio, XYZ wala make, so I enter into counter debate. Parliament failed in our mandate because nganyina push pour kanyeke aike emanson kake. Parliament we come with a censorship motion and failed. Now failed the sign. The government will decide. The General Assembly is bigger than the Parliament.
Thank you. Sign. Okay.
Parliament coming now at the very beginning.
Yes. Yalo ali afole among
we are not better than any of you.
Great. If you let me, ali akatale kuma bulande. But saying altata radio program also alcohol educate je kuma bulande haniwo. But saying bankudingol samene keno fo is a wool a geraw ke bam fo a wool a demonstrate is a mene keno pour que la volontaire tandi wol gam bankudingol mun sembel so saying ye wool ye demonstrate bam fo is a mene keno saying.
Imagine, look at example the former president La Asset Sol. Bankudingol they came together, they went to demonstrate and they demand. And that compelled the parliament to constitute a committee to investigate the dealing of Jammeh's assets. So, imagine ko no fana keta executive knows that ko e me fa onkaje mo le carte faye tataji. We voted for the president ala minister tombo. Wala mo do gulandi, they own us. Even the parliament. Imagine bringing what certain decision on that judiciary remuneration bill. They demonstrated in data, but it was withdrawn. The mover of that motion have withdrawn immediately. So, in fact, that is the only way you can be a check on these three arms. Whatever is not working as far as your opinion are concerned, and I'll be a non tonyati. You put us of tax.
I think
so. This is what is important.
Continue because ko beta kanyameng ama easy. Mustafa, just a minute nga question dolje molba fenkela, so let me just take quickly nga Aziz Fananje. What is the estimated total revenue lost incurred by the government in the whole saga? Honorable, Alia Long, how much is lost apart from the 30 million? Alia Long, what the estimated total revenue Mansakunda Yemen lost during Alani investigation?
Yalom Fana, due to some negligences, coming better made it come from the resolutions.
Okay.
I want you to understand that, more especially when you come to central bank. Okay.
Yeah.
Jama from only tax million jola by Creed Energy and Ultimate Logistic. Huh? That is imagine that the GRA take immediate step to recover outstanding tax obligation totaling to 20,873,639.89 from Creed Energy
$20,800,000
and Ultimate Logistic. Well done, Mal. So 20 million, that is one. So
now loosely again. Now, honorable loosely.
Tax million tax is 20,873,639.89.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yes. Yes. 20,873,639.
I'm around anyway.
639.
It's the network sometimes.
Yeah, it's the network, I think. Yeah, isn't it? Yes. So that is the loss. That is they haven't paid tax. That's the amount. Hey, they have a connection with the Canada. I'm a long and you moile. Musa vai take a moile tell.
Ndekere moile barade bukandu ngama ala jelo ala ma.
Network call.
Okay, minkera actually manajive coming well, Aziz is part of the panelists. Mi ala kataranya lokum. Afana nyinin ka rosura be mi fenga wande yala question follow readle. Aba min nyinin ka.
I think the first question, yeah.
Ha, beri yalo Gambia la network over nyameng. Matrala lo coming ngabe rida, you know, I think I bulano ka in that sequence. Aziz coming nyinin ka olo ngabra mulbaje. Aziz ko, what is the estimated total revenue loss incurred by the government in the whole saga? And then who can be held accountable for this loss? What means or methods were employed to withhold this revenue from the government? Okay, as is Nadia Abera Baki, Meten Dulambeje Lela Kumakang, and then let me have a look. More Bijane comments on our in the from Paradam Binalanga interactively. Sole job, Malam but Boruboya Teko. Why would a company without a business address allowed to do business with a state-owned institutes, GNPC? What impact would the National Assembly Committee recommendations bring? So, minkera I mean for young, definitely diamo con all indigo, ning Italiake, near try for Kumambulandino, is a minkeno with Halakamol educate radio to Kafamole, Purmole Akalam to Nyama. New one kadum, Sai Molbula and Garok. Purkaja ko mimbe caring amanyafa mimbe caring mankondana. So nyumukula de mia long ko saying honorable fella anata, but it's still struggling with the network. But this is something mia long ko the trend kamuluneko Terry Kafole benyun kuko mia long ko like Terry Kafol it all damal malo fe kamwela ma.
Okay, well,
Yo, your question following him well, man. The second
question maybe because the first one I will answer. The second question, Honorable, is who can be held accountable for this loss?
I think the duty bearer of all these things is the head of state, because if the head of state, this is done in his country, and we have such a great loss, how do we recover this thing? So now he should be accountable, because he's the one who is overseeing the country, and this happened. So the only thing is what is recommended here, let him act on that in order to avoid. So all those that are mentioned should be implemented to the latter.
Yeah. And then
what mentioned the ministers, the officers in charge.
Yeah.
Both
and
institutions and
sorry. Yes, the last question is what means or methods are employed to withhold this revenue from the government?
I'm not getting your network.
What means or methods? What methods were employed to withhold this revenue from the government? Government. Network.
Yes, I'm not getting you. The network.
I understand the network.
Come again then.
No. What methods you may use were employed to withhold this revenue from the government?
Well, the method, I don't get you. The method that was used to
withhold this revenue from the government.
Well, in fact, the way they were registered, they were not complying, and I think that was a serious institutional lapses that made this thing happen. You cannot incorporate a company in the Gambia to trade in petroleum products, and after doing that, you did all these activities without paying a dime to the government. So that was a major problem, and I think it was a real negligence of our institutions. Sometimes if you blame them, but the officers.
We lost him again. Mustafa, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes. Good afternoon, brother Mustafa and sister Day. Welcome back. Binta Sek. Binta, atelom lady di Mia Longo. I have no respect for her. Atelom muso di Mia Longo adamaka hani kanaka comment yang kakumol for kala.
Yeah, barka bake Binta. Barka bake.
You know, musu jatol, but muso dolbe yewol yensi valley bugani ka kubal foje. Bari on batra nga honorable Sambana ngajibe.
Malo answer, then we try to wrap up because he's struggling with internet.
Yeah. So Malo, are we
here?
You can go summarize.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Meminkela, Barry, what means I Jabele?
Hi, Jabele. Honorable, quickly, Jani internet obe losla. So I told the committee saying, ye munekela simfanya jolle jamale tala purka jeko nyinte kela kote kata fan repeat la with modal, different people, different players, even this year. Or already maybe it's happening. Apart from prosecuting, what steps are you taking to really hinder these things?
The committee came with very powerful resolutions. Resolution that this is an eye opener. The executive is aware to avoid the recurrence of this. Very strange law starting from register of companies. All the recommendation with the register of companies is to avoid registering these fake people to come and register the oil marketing companies here. Two, we also look at the security component and even the JRA. Once a company is incorporated, the JRA need to be notified so that they make sure that the tax are paid on time. So those recommendations are there, and it's an eye opener for the executive. And that is why the executive will live up to tax. I don't think they will allow things to happen anymore in this context.
That makes a lot of sense, you know. Honorable Sam Bebinkela, Barry Brikama is a problem. Ngamare in the Sauneta Gunjur, you know, all the Molbe Handela. Gunjur has one of the best internet network connection.
Gunjur la
No, I was in Gunjur, not so Gunjur.
But Allah capital on Brikama.
Gunjur is unbeatable.
Allah capital on Brikama.
No, I disagree.
No, Allah capital on Brikama. So Brikama is the capital. Divisional headquarters is Brikama. You are answerable. Hanala Nyebal, Betama Bekana Brikama. I look up for all of them.
Sati Mimma Basoro, you know, what no capital. Brikama Basoro. There's no Atlantic Ocean there.
No. But the ozone belongs to us, not you. You are only there as security to secure the ozone.
In that case, your impeachment is just around the corner. Mavinkela, tell us your final thoughts. Ninkola Kanala, because Ninkera, topical Ninkumara Bake, but I left the pre Nyamendi. Left in Nyamendi in the extent score, ordinary Gambian or Minia long, Gumbara Base or Woodlad Oldo, Punga understand ko, Nine Bekeri, Nine Keta, but Nin Manke, Nine Keno. No, fair family. So your final
Mimi jadora walonko mbe Gambiano in and outside the country bebe la hidla ko ngani didla with good faith proof fair battle and will do everything humanly possible fair battle but now man keno al salon dol fana fudan dawol do kadum fana dandula so because dol we are a national assembly, we operate within the law. Ni tolbe law bridge la we ndolta law bridge la no. So min tula je sa in katandi gameno la nyina bije nyino man sakunda de mimbe mbulu ngi recommendation li dila ngi resolution li dila ima implement sanya abebulu je decision to je atole carte fay man sakunda president way and tolbe the three arm of the government the general assembly is big ka carte fay la kumayata wala taw nyim bankoti nga kodo min be ka dum man sakunda bulu pour ka tamandin tol toyal. So which means that nyanta will respect la bakle ni makeno toje mole fundali atandila muna na manke justice for this, justice for that. Kaje ko na institutional manya kala fraudulent reality. Gambe manya kala tulunda de mol kana ka tuluna kana tax ning ibed jang. Ning gambe dingol ba aka gambe dingol dokol dila ke namu kaningol dila. Ika namul joja ika bata fola bonon fana e ka tax mille kan fola bonon to fani be fengol wafu ka wafu da ko wala minka banko dingol batan. Indole na yaka jang over 20 million plus means shoutout. Can one only two companies but other areas mean involved about tax fongoni. Was shata bakele. So le bulumbenga wulenga jube. Anu we are going towards the election akumayatale. For la fa nyi masakunda sifa tarambulba. For la fa nyi député sifa le tra député motoba. For mala fi wala bang odula Gambia no level. We have to decide. And secondly, mbe advise me mfana dila Mustafa. Next time if we are coming, we are going to discuss a topic. Let's prepare a kind of checklist. Isajala wobena diamo nyim fana confinal. What checklist on the more you administer, we can respond. Isajala quickly and translate into our national languages, Mandinga or any other language. Kajoko so that as a filter down to the people, kalong what is happening. Woben terrain lab and a call fast track. Isajako we can work within a stipulated time. Ngana Ngana exit more than the stipulated time. Akumara back in Kanyi Diamoke, Ngalon Sanin sa Adanja Wala because it's eating into my time again. But I want to seize this opportunity to thank especially the presenter and Jaratu Dejobate. Mialonko, she has been very, very, very active. I don't know whether he was a teacher before, but she's very good in her line of questioning, which I appreciate. And I know she's a concerned citizen who is playing a critical role in the socio-economic development by remittance. How much do you remit into the country? And that's why you are concerned. And I'm very proud of you and all the viewers and listeners all over the country, Gambians. Let's take Gambia seriously and make sure that we put to our representative to tax to make sure that we do the needful. For your time and your fine question, I really appreciate. And all my doors are open to come on board on any type of national issues. Mialongo is within my domain. We're discuss and we come out with a strategic way forward. Ala barka bakendai ani Mustafa Ngaltendu.
Inin Barawake, Honorable Lamin Akumada. So, and they, ila final thoughts.
Honorable Abarka Bake, ila time, because ngalong ko alkatara busy ne, ila time, puri tarajang. Sometimes, be hako boila, because sometimes akata beyond that, because more for nan question all kanale me along ko.
Hello, Mustafa.
So, Abarka Bake, ila time, with also kana kanying explain more, because na doko jang saying, kasi in civic education program, wole mo, kamo faham. Ika mo ile ba?
Hello, Mustafa.
Yes, ikan day mo, ndela ba diamo ka?
Bukan moy.
Ibu kamoy. No, honorable bukamoy. Ika moy sign.
No, it's
I'm
not.
honorable tatale abukamoy moy. Maybe I will log in again. Pour nga fenge. But in bafola viewers all fana ala barka bake, ala time, ala question or sometimes buka betano because alkaji loko time ka detele and there's a lot pour ka clarification or nati. Alaji loko honorable fana bafola ko question all ka keys aje tul fanang they get it beforehand. Will be these are all issues, but sometimes ibuka be control. Not every time from ibuka be control no because publico for na rise to pour kila question or nati. Apeta for nang question door canale. You question on yini, there's a lead question to you. Kudo for I kudo nati. Wala nang kanyang program okay, and wala nang ka try kake local language. Honorable say Natalie, ngomba fala ko barka bake ka mule. Mba fala barka bake ila time. To be ila time pour ka tarajang ka call for hamde because ning civic program on ka soto every week is because pour ka call bondi nyamo kono misinformation o yo finti to nya etara mol nyanta melno na ya long isaje mol can make informed decision ko nyine keta nyine a confirm of course yemen raise about questions because usually questions all prior question we can take that into consideration question also can prior to that but sometimes also ngalo ifana ye wolo ne ko ika kudo ansale ay kudo nati ay question do nati ye kudo fo ay question do nati agake in the program ifana ye wolo ne then also ndol fana ngal nyeten to back it because fanal ka bata soto le pour ka MP soto because sometimes nga discussion soto le nga expert all nati we want MPC fana na amanke konke nati le pour confrontation hani nge nati le pour ifanali expert all la moy maybe isi kuta no je tol fanan ka on so nyine be kerinde albe nyine investi wala nyine so bari nge jay bake pour ila time pour ka tarajang inin tol ma fala abarka bake and be hako boyla time o katale usually ikafale 1 hour 2 ay tambi wala because kolle kana sia akono abarka bake mbafala viewers olye ala barka bake andumbe hako boyla ko bi angale wol ning abele jakasita because ma control no because usually al kala nga beke ida mandiko ida surwa local language bari bi ngala alba understand la ko kool be dunta jokande because ni be nyin kool fe sometimes analyze la akadun jele ala barka bake questionol mem matano mbafala ko again ali hakoboy next time because mbuka betano honestly ngala fa betala bara buka tano because time lem bari abarka bake ala barka an Aziz Nyolti, Aziz sent some questions. Abarka, Suleiman be abe busy ring amantarajan Suleiman Jeng. Fenke Bamba Mas fana manna because if an albe busy on diaspora fana call buka easy beza katara bori wala kola. And Alaji Baro, Bafala ala barka bake. Mustafa abarka bake boring to make sure ko mbe tarajang among easy ka diaspora coordinate mbebe different bank call leto, different time zone, different hajol mebenke la bari make sure every time program mo be on isu sol nata ye mo nati nga clarify abarka bake ila time your patient as well because abuka easy ala barka bake
in barabake and honorable thank you for your time if I baraka bake butung wado
you welcome Mustafa
yeah bari ku gele bo fulele ni lafta pre gagner a try pre for gunjuri ni ka cool for ni ka cool ka ni wonde be impeach la pre understand wo nyama you know
Barungo, Allah keke bi ben dela bulu. Ndela ka control kebi baro.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Honorable. Budung lamorlan ngibe dalu mbe dawda anibe watu do nyino na lokum civic education program o ming yalong gaso do kabron Sky Power radio and TV services. Program on kana dimanche wode sibito like about 5 o'clock UK time. The program on kana karavo 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7, depending on kulbalari nyaming. Putung lamer lal ninji beral bal tentulam bal jela fam fanke sutu mol mini alo yim program o share be tentulam be jela mo me comments ke bol fanam be tentulam be jela putung ni ale mabe program o nyimbe murna na sibiti koteng ni ale mabe UK time 5 o'clock, European time 6 o'clock kata onwards. Bedana janne fo sibitnala inshallah kabran Sky Power radio and TV services onal badimalo Mustafa Jame membe sirin program kunna fo sibitnala inshallah olimbara.